utilize the innovative control tower to scale our level of thinking, correct?
Right. And that's something that I kind of came up with because I recognize the fact that I got 1,000 journals lying all around my house. And you know how when you're writing in a journal...
Oh, me too. You should see. They're piled on my desk. I understand. I relate.
The problem is, though, when you write something and then you have another idea associated with that same idea, you may no longer have space to be able to add it in. So
yes.
Everything's separate and spread all around the world.
Right.
And this was an opportunity for me to be able to figure out how do I catch it, whether you're in the bathroom or on a flight or wherever. You can capture those, what I call frames of reference, and then you store it right in what I call a innovation control tower, which means that it shows up in a console on your computer, or rather a task board, but it gives you full visibility to all those different things that you were pulling from. Now, the goal is to be able to work with a lot of young folks, to be able to get them to store their thoughts, store their ideas, capture them, and do it throughout the entirety of their life. And when you're doing that, those are those little pieces of reference points from which all those ideas take place or are formed. But my goal, in speaking of the whole, the bigger picture of this, I want to be able to go after and look across the entire environment of all these different reference points and find commonalities between potentially your things that you've captured in yours and someone possibly in Bangladesh or wherever else around the world, and pull you guys together, connect you online within a structure where you can start to focus in on ideas that you both have interest in. So, because I believe that we have the ability to solve some of our greatest problems if we put the minds together that are interested in focusing in on those ideas, and you enable their focus. So that's what my goal is, to be able to create a universal collection of ideas online.
And you have all of that, links to how to become involved in all of that. You have everything on your website, correct?
Yes. On my website at thinkdifferentnation.com, we've got everything from the ability to be able to work with you. Anyone can schedule some time, and I can kind of give you an idea of how the entire process works. But we also have the ability to be able to tap into the innovation control tower. It's very affordable at only $4.99 a month, but it allows you to store any amount of information. And again, it's those talking points, it's the things that you may be thinking of right before you go to bed that you want to store it, you want to capture it, you want to keep it in a place that you can come back to it later on. That's what I enable with the control tower itself.
And all of your information and links will be in the show notes, so everybody can follow up on that. So, they can track these ideas. And because I absolutely understand, I was just having this issue right before we signed in to meet, is I was going through my journals with my notes, and I'm like, I'm running out of space. So, very relatable problem.
Well, and the other thing with that is, that's kind of where the whole idea came from as well. It originally started out with the fact that I think I had close to 7 to 10 different business concepts that I work on. I only work on 2 to 3 regularly, but I have 7 to 10 that are out there. And the thing that I do is I will position that concept. I call them flights. Each of my projects or my ideas are flights or on planes. And so some of them are sitting at the boarding gate. I'm not really doing anything with them. Some of them are cruising. And the fact of the matter is I can have an idea that may be sitting and cruising for 2 or 3 years, because I may not have resources, I may not have the ideas to configure for something else. It may just sit in cruising, lying or sitting right there in the cruising category while I'm working on something else. But when I'm ready to come back to it, I can pick it up just like that without skipping a beat.
And why I love this so much is because there's those whispers in your soul of what you want to do, but sometimes you're just like, I don't know how this is going to actually manifest or how this is going to transpire.
That's the great thing. That's the great thing about it.
It's just taking that next step and, okay, I'm going to follow up with this and I'm going to do that. And it's those little itty bitty steps that then you can look back. And I forgot what you were saying is look from the end in mind, or look from the end to the beginning, and you can see how it all transpired, which can also leverage you for your next idea of, okay, well, this is how I did it the last time. I just need to get in that place, get in that end zone to then be able to just make this work.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because that's actually a process within the whole principles of reality. That's actually a process called mental alchemy. It was Marcus Aurelius. He was the, 115, 120 emperor of Rome, AD. And he was one of the most accomplished emperors, I think one of the 5 great emperors in Rome. But he had an expression where he would say, although your path may be impeded, there can be no impeding your intention or disposition because you can adapt, you can compensate. The mind adapts and converts to its own purpose, the obstacle to its own action. Now, just saying that, he's recognizing that he's got obstacles. Obviously, when you're in Germany and you're going up against 5,000 Germans coming at you, that's an obstacle. But you don't look at it in terms of the obstacle. You look at it in terms of, minimizing the risk and then maximizing the opportunity. And just by switching the position of your view or your orientation, you look at the challenge in a completely different way, and then that's when things start to flow. So when I have challenges like, for example, an idea, I will literally sit with that idea out there for 6 months to a year, waiting for things to come, because they always come. You just have to give them time, and then ideas flow. And they will come to you if you give it the time required to just let it happen. So I'll work on something else during that time.
Mm-hmm. And it's okay to be still. I think that's one of those things that, especially when you're talking about entrepreneurship, I think that people think, oh, you just got to hustle. You just got to grind. But it's okay to be still. And that's actually needed at certain times. So I'm glad that you mentioned that.
Yeah, Mount Everest, it started out 24,000 feet below sea level. And it rose to 29,000 feet above sea level at a rate of a half of an inch per year for 50 million years. So you can take your time. These things don't have to be done today, tomorrow. Even if you invest an hour a week or even possibly an hour a month while you're waiting to get your juices back, your energy back, because it will come back. But if you just go and sit back on it, then your ideas, again, will start to come to you. For example, I had a project that I started, again, it's Shearson Lehman Brothers Comet from 2010, where I walked away from them. Well, the funny thing is that concept is just as viable now as it was back then, and I could have very easily have launched it now, but I walked away from all the technology, from everything I had built. I left it, and therefore, if I wanted to do it again, I'd have to start over. Nowadays, I keep all of my projects bundled up, and I can walk back to them at any given time that I get that inspiration necessary to move forward.
That's fantastic. Ty, thank you so much for being here. And again, all of your information will be in the show notes for people to be able to follow up and really start leveraging their power of thinking differently.
I truly appreciate your time today, Tiffany.
Thank you for listening to the Humanitarian Entrepreneur Podcast. To stay up to date and receive free, valuable resources and action guides, you can find us at humanitarian-entrepreneur.com.